podcast. Let's jump into the game. Michigan, Ohio State, 13-10. I was absolutely stunned by the result of this game. This is a game that I fully expected, and I said this on our show on Saturday morning, that it wasn't that Ohio State was going to win. It was about how much they were going to win by, and when Ryan Day was going to be able to call off the dogs, and Michigan was going to be able to lick its wounds. Not exactly what happened. Now you're going to have a senior class graduate from Ohio State having never beaten Michigan. 0-4 in their last 4 games. Will Howard, he's picked off twice in this game. The rushing attack just continues to be dreadful. I don't know if it's offensive line play. I don't know if it's just these guys aren't who we thought they were, Quinshon Judkins and Trevion Henderson. But the fact that Judkins only goes for 46 on 12 carries, and you had Henderson going for 21 on 10 carries, this team is just not getting it done. It's unacceptable. And this is a game that, this was a slugfest. It's a physical football game, and this is what I expected to see. But there's no excuse for you to lose a football game where your opposing quarterback scores or only accounts for 62 yards of offense. That's just unacceptable. It's really bad. Throwing for 62 yards and you lose that game, it's inexplicable. And I know the heat is going to go straight to Ryan Day, and it should. It absolutely should, because I have no earthly idea how that team loses to Michigan. Ohio State had everything it needed. Every single thing that Ryan Day asked for, he got, and he still cannot get over the Michigan hump. I don't know what it is about this game with him that it doesn't seem to be working out, Abe. But it's an inexplicable loss made worse by the fact that now you don't get to go to the Big Ten championship game. You're not going to have a chance to go get a first-round bye. You may have cost yourself a home playoff game too. You may fall all the way out of the top 8. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. You lose in that fashion. You play a game like that after scuffling by a couple of times throughout the course of the regular season. I'm not that impressed, and this is just an abysmal game and a terrible performance for Ohio State.
Yeah, and look, you can question Ryan Day, and rightfully so. I want to start by questioning Chip Kelly. You've got NFL talent all over this team. You bring in a quarterback out of the transfer portal that was a playmaker at Kansas State the past couple of years, and you find Jeremiah Smith for 1 10-yard touchdown pass. That's all you can muster against this Michigan team. And look, the run game has been a problem all year long, despite the talent of Judkins and Henderson. Chip Kelly couldn't get much out of them really for the majority of the season, here and there, sure, but when you needed them, they weren't there. You got multiple first-round NFL receivers. You can't get the ball to them enough. It just wasn't good enough on offense. And I think defensively, especially considering how Michigan scored its touchdowns and field goals, setting themselves up with defensive plays, defensively, you're not upset really at Ohio State and what they were able to accomplish. This is a loss that is completely on the offense. And so as much credit or focus is going to be on Ryan Day, I think equal amounts on Chip Kelly. That being said, I have a tough time now believing, because I believe, and we'll talk about it as we go, I believe the two teams with the highest potential, the highest ceiling on the season were Ohio State and the Georgia Bulldogs. The biggest issue isn't whether or not in any one game situation they can win. How are either of these teams going to feel good about putting together a 3, potentially a 4-game run in the playoffs against quality competition, where one loss will end your season from this point forward for Ohio State? They may have more talent and be able to put it together. Can they do it multiple weeks in a row? I just don't know at this point. They're just not falling back on anything offensively that you can believe in. And so this is Garrett, we don't have to walk around the subject. This is an atrocious loss. There's no softening the blow here.
They were 21-point favorites, Abe. That's the biggest spread in 50 years.
Your favorites to go in and win the Big Ten title. To lose this game at home in a rivalry game where you've lost 4 straight. I don't really know what to say. It's probably going to cost your head coach his job, depending on the next month or 5 weeks of college football, if you even survive that long. So we'll see what ends up happening there for Ryan Day and the head man there, but might do you some good to take some time during Big Ten title game weekend since you're no longer playing in it, and freshen up that resume, freshen up that cover letter, and get ready, because this gig, which is one of the best in college football, might be taken away from you.
Yeah. Not one of the best. It might be the best job in college football. I mean, there aren't a lot of places in this sport that you could go to your boosters or just go to the media and say that I need $20 million to win, and then you get $20 million to go win. Like, that's not normal. And that's not something that a lot of places can do. And look, it's made that much worse by the fact that you have this incredible group of seniors who came back for this. And Mickey Ibuka, Travion Henderson, Jack Sawyer. You have these guys who were bona fide first-round draft picks, or at least day 2 picks, all of them. And all these guys came back to win this game. And you don't get it done. And it's not even the fact that you lost. It's the way that you lost. You looked so bad. I mean, like, this is a game that I wasn't able to watch the whole game, and then I had to go back and watch what I missed. But it was, I turned it on probably halfway through the second quarter, and I'm like, I was fully expecting something crazy. I hadn't been able to follow it, so I didn't know what was happening, and I was fully sure that this game was going to be pretty much a rout by the second quarter, because I expected Ohio State to jump on them, and once they got a 14-point lead, then it was just going to be, that was it. And if I looked at the Michigan box score, that's pretty much what it looked like, as if Ohio State dominated this game. It's just the fact that the Ohio State offense is exactly what we worried it would be with Will Howard. Not good enough. Just not good enough. And it's made even worse by the fact that the guy you ran off is having one of the best seasons in college football. So, yes, Ryan Day is feeling the heat, and he should be. It's just that, does he deserve to be fired for that loss? I don't think so. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think Ohio State fans fully understand
but
what's on the other side.
It's also, that's true,
split.
but you can't look at it in a glass bottle. He's not being fired for this loss, like on one pedestal.
No,
and I know you're
right.
not suggesting that, but the way you got to be careful what you ask the question. He's being fired if he gets fired, and I agree with you. I'm not necessarily as convinced as all of the people who are on social media over the course of this whole weekend being like, he's done, that's it. I definitely don't think they're firing him before the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make a change here.
No, they still
Garrett,
have
you've seen it written, though, the same as I have. There have been those suggestions that he shouldn't even coach in the playoffs. And I just don't believe that to begin with. And then, look, I don't know the buyout situation. But I do agree with you. I would be very, very careful about getting rid of a guy like Ryan Day, based on what could be on the other side. I mean, look, you were potentially very close to hiring Luke Fickell a couple years ago. Luke Fickell, what would this program be right now? And I'm a big Luke Fickell fan. I am, but he has not gotten things going in his Big Ten job. I mean, I agree with you. I think the grass is not always greener, but you got to beat this team. You certainly got to beat this team as 20-point favorites, as national championship contenders against an unranked at home. There's no excuse for what happened out there. And it's really not even about whether he's a good coach or can win. Mm-hmm. It's really about whether the people who make these decisions are tired of watching him lose this one game. Yeah. If they are tired of it to the point where they're like, no more, then he's done. And if they are at the point of I know that we haven't gotten past Michigan, but I don't think we're going to upgrade. And so we're going to keep plugging ahead with what we have, then his job's safe.
Yeah. It just depends on who they want to, who they'd want to hire, and he's a pretty damn.
The question is who excites the fan base. Because if you're gonna fire him, you got to get someone that is
You have
going
to upgrade.
to excite the fan base.
Yeah. You're not going to get Brian Kelly, right?
Oh, that's not who I was thinking. Does Matt Campbell do it for you?
Matt Campbell's.
I
not
mean,
leaving.
he's
I don't think
obviously
Matt Campbell's leaving Iowa State.
I'm just theoretically suggesting, like, he's obviously red hot again with what he's done at Iowa State this year.
Sure.
Potentially could get hotter if they win the title game in their conference, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But like, is that the hottest name right now in coaching? I mean,
like, do they want the hot name, or do they want a guy who's going to come in and win? That's the thing. We're having a kind of a rhetorical conversation, a speculative conversation, not rhetorical. One that may not even come to pass, because Ohio State, they can still go out and win a national championship.
I actually don't think they're going to fire him. I know a lot of people are convinced
right
at
now.
the end of the year. No, I don't even think at the end of the year. I really
would
don't.
Still be surprised. I know we've been talking about this for a little while now. The words have come out of my mouth once or twice, I'm sure. But it's the idea that
we jokingly said he should be fired if they don't beat Michigan, because we never thought they would actually lose to Michigan. And so, like, there is some context, because I've said that probably 5 times, Garrett. You've probably said it 3 times on this podcast over the course of this season, like especially like the hot seat stuff that we had at the beginning of the year. Like, we both said, like, if he doesn't beat Michigan this year, he'll probably get fired. Like, we just never considered that he actually would. Like until we're like,
and that makes it all the more worse. That makes it so much worse. Like, the fact that this is the worst Michigan team of the last 4 years, easily, without question. This is probably the worst Michigan team of the last 8 years or so. And at least that COVID season, I mean, my God, this team sucks. It's not a good football team coached by Sharon Moore. They don't even have the guy who at head coach who made them that competitive. You know, it's and you lost. So maybe he needs to be fired. I really don't know, but I just know something is going to come of this game. It has to. But ultimately what happens is Penn State beats Maryland, a hapless Maryland team, and they move into the Big Ten championship game. Through the back door. Good for them. James Franklin has a big opportunity. He can go win his first Big Ten championship since 2017.
I don't want just one last thing. The other thing is the other side of this is like, okay, you didn't beat Michigan. You're not going to be winning a Big Ten title. You are still going to be in the playoffs, and you can still prove some things here this year. And so the season's not done. They obviously have things they got to work on and figure out. Yeah. But the ultimate prize is still there to be had for them if they can get hot at the right time.